Hey everybody, it's Modesta Mahiga from Modesta.Africa. This is a Sunday afternoon for me. We went to church, went for an outing, and I'm out here baking marble cake. It's from a box though. So listen, I put out a question yesterday and I said, what's in your head? What's the worst that could happen? And I've had people responding. I keep looking away because I'm looking at what I'm doing here so that I don't have my cake mix splat on the floor. What's the worst that could happen? And I've had some people saying, marrying the wrong spouse or getting retrenched, just things about the past repeating themselves. And somebody noted that, just by looking at this question, I see that I am more in control of my future than anything. Like I can determine what comes next. Bingo, you got it. You can determine what's next. I read something from Danny Silk. Danny Silk is this amazing coach, and he was saying worrying is like praying really hard for something you don't want. You don't want it. Yet you are thinking about it over and over, which is meditation, right? You're meditating over it, over and over and over. You're thinking of the worst case scenario in your life. And that, to many people, gets them petrified. Like literally, they get stuck in life because they're thinking, what if, right? And I once saw something where somebody was saying, rather than what if it went wrong, what if it went right? What if it worked out for you? And so this is what I'd like you to do. It's very simple. If there's anything on your mind and you're thinking, what if it happens? I'd like you to write it down. I am a fan. I completely believe in, and I would recommend write down what is on your mind. Then ask yourself, is it something that I can do something about? Now, you know how I always say, there's always a way, you just need strategy. This thing that I'm worrying about, is it something that I can determine? Is it something that I can control? If so, you know what? Some people may say, no, actually, I can't control this. We are in charge of our lives. We can. And of course, along with God, I don't want to sound blasphemous or heretic, but for those situations where you feel as if, no, I can't, I actually can't do anything about this. This is what you can do. You can find somebody with wisdom to run it by them. Maybe you're going through something and you're thinking there's actually no way out. There's some things I know that are within my control. There are others that are not. You'd be surprised how many things that you can influence. It's just you either have a fixed mindset that no, I can't, this is it. What I've done has been done. Where I'm at is where I'm at. Nothing can get better. Or if you feel like I'm in a place where I see nothing but being stuck, and so I'm probably not the best person right now to get myself out of a situation, go hand yourself in over to somebody. Ask somebody else who you know thinks positively will help you out. I actually just did this for myself yesterday. I'm in a situation where I can't quite see the way out. Now, it's not that I have a fixed mindset, but I really cannot see how else I would get out of this. So I prayed about it. Instead of worrying about it, I prayed about it. And then I also looked for somebody and I said, I'd like to see you. And she said, oh, when? Sometime in the future. Like, look, I just want to see you alone, and I'd like to see you soon, and I'd like to see you frequently. I was basically saying to her that, I want an accountability partner. I want somebody else, as I'm going through what I'm going through, who will help me see a different view. So the first thing is you write down what it is you are worrying about, what it is you feel as if that's the worst case scenario. Number two, you ask yourself, can I do something about this? If your answer is no, there's nothing you can do about this, like I can see this coming to me, I ask you to go look for somebody else who you know is positive, somebody else who you respect, somebody you know can give you good advice. And you can brainstorm, you can bounce these things back and forth, and you will see a way out. But if you're in a position where you say, yeah, I actually can do something about it. So for instance, the person who said, I worry that I would marry the wrong spouse. Okay, what are you looking for in a spouse? Do you already have a picture of what you're looking for? And I'm talking about physique. Okay, so that's my alarm telling me to put my battery in for my cake. No, but I'm talking about what kind of values you want the person to have. What kind of vision do you want the person to have? Because you know what? This is what makes or breaks. What makes or breaks relationships and marriages for the person who answered that their worst case scenario is marrying the wrong person isn't whether that person has money or not. It's whether that person has vision or not. Isn't whether that person talks right, is whether that person is, thinks right and has the right kind of heart. Because when you share values and when you can share a vision or you see somebody who would be receptive to that, You can create anything out of what is not seen at the moment. So many a times, and you probably heard this saying as well, we ask God for a baked cake, and then we get you get flour, you get eggs, you get butter, you get sugar, and maybe you get whatever other flavor, and you're thinking, no, thank you. That is too much work. This isn't going to work. But that's what it takes. I actually now, with hindsight, don't tell my husband that I would have just said it was a wrong match a couple of years ago. With hindsight, you know what I know now? Look at me publicly saying this. I'm like, don't tell my husband. Is if I had not gone through the process that I went through with him, I wouldn't appreciate who this man is. I wouldn't even have a clue as to who I am and what it is that I want. And so there are times, either you feel like, okay, no, I don't see a way out. Go speak to somebody who will help you see a way out, because there is always a way. What we say, what we see, what we do comes out of what we know. If all I know is all I know, I need to find somebody who knows different, who thinks different, who can elevate me. And this is why I looked for my friend yesterday. And I said, can I see you? She said, is everything okay? I said, everything is okay. But I want to see you soon, and I want to see you regularly. Because I am stuck. I'm in a place in my life, in a certain area where I'm stuck, and I cannot see a way out. Of course I won't see a way out, because what I know is what I know. How I think is how I think, and that's how I process things. And so you either go to somebody, or you look at what it is that you can do. And even when it seems like it would be a process, allow yourself to go through the process. You will not only appreciate the value of what you get when you get to the other side, you will also now have the principles. You will know the steps to take, so that win that you have in this area, or even if it's a learn and not necessarily, the win you wanted, the result you wanted, that process that you went through, the principles that you learned, you can then transfer them to another situation in future. You never want to get in a context, and listen, guys, I'm always bringing in religion. I hope I don't get into trouble with people. You never want to get into a context where you go to people like you're going to the doctors, or you need to go to a certain preacher, because they have all the answers. You need to get to a place where, wait, I want to learn for myself. I need to grow for myself, so that as I go through the process and I learn the principles and the steps, not only will they get me through this thing, not only will I value it at the end of it, but I can then use those principles, transfer them to any other context in my life where I feel stuck. And so that is the third step. Step one was write it down. What is the worst in your head that you think could happen? Step two, if you feel like there's actually, when you ask yourself, can I do something about it? And you feel like, no, there's nothing you do about it. Get somebody who sees different, because there is always a way. You just need strategy, and you need the right advice. And then the second part of step two is where you feel like, yes, I can, but it's a process. Go through the process. It's worth it at the end. I will tell you now, I didn't want to go through the process. And there's so many things. Look, I see Audrey here. I see Mana. I see some people that I went to school with. People who know me. Suleiman, you know me as well. Elizabeth, we've kind of had conversations. Grace, we've done some programs together. I see some people who know me well. And I'm grateful that I'd been intelligent and I could influence and, I could have things happen. And so being a person who, is it about studying? I would study and get the results. Being a person who, is it about, convincing that I could speak and convince? In a way, I didn't realize, but things just came to me. Even if I worked for them, but I didn't realize that I could plug and the thing won't play. I didn't realize that I could work my behind off and then things don't turn out the way I wanted to. And so I think I got into marriage, for instance, like a spoiled brat. Not that I was, but before that I lived on my own, basically. I did boarding school since I was 8, lived on my own, so to speak, on my own terms. And because I wasn't a troublesome kid, life just happened for me. And then now I have to go through the rigors and the process of something. And I was like, no, look, this thing is simple. You work for it, A plus this is this, and you get the answer, let's go. And it wasn't working for me. But now, 7 years on, I am so grateful that I went through that process. I was just speaking to my husband yesterday. I said, I think we've gone through 3 marriages so far. So the first is, look, I don't even know how this worked out, but here we are, let's stay alive. God keep us alive. Number 2 was, all right, we need to align or we're going to pull each other apart. And then number 3 now is, hey, I like you. I get it. And we're sharing a vision, and we're sharing responsibilities for things. This thing just might work. This is nice. And I don't know what God is going to bring next, but I know it's going to be beautiful. But I'm grateful that I went through the process, or I wouldn't have appreciated this. So now, step 4. You've written down to ask yourself, okay, what's the worst that could happen? You've written it down. Number 2, you've checked whether you can do something about it. Where you feel like, no, I can't, get somebody who can help you, because you always can. You just can't see it, because all that can come out of you is what you know to do. If you could do different, you would have done different by now. If you're feeling like, yes, I can do something about it, but it's a process, look, go through the process. You'll want to. And then after that is, what are you doing now? Because remember, the question was, in your head, what's the worst that could happen? What are you doing now to make sure that your life does not go the way in which you fear, right? Not that you make decisions to avoid the fear, but you feed yourself with a vision of, the outcome that you do want. So when people come to like, Modesta, I am messed up, like I cannot explain to you. Or people telling me about their weaknesses or whatever it is, or their sins or whatever, they feel like it's completely messed up. I listen to them. And and I say, oh wow, I hear you, and my conversation thereafter, so I acknowledge what they're saying, and I acknowledge the pain, and I acknowledge their struggle, and then I start asking them questions on the positive, or what they can do, or what they do have going on, or what they do aspire for. So I tell them, so imagine in a context where my cake, you guys, is gonna ferment before I put it in the oven. But let me just keep stirring. Imagine a context where money wasn't an issue, people's opinion wasn't an issue, your age and feeling like, I've lost out and all this wasn't an issue. What would you do? Like, what would be your choice? And they would give me this picture, of course, suspending the reality in their mind of everything else that's not going right. Give me a picture of what it is that they want. And then now we're going. Because this is it. When we feed the positive, when we feed the aspirations, the fear dies. Especially when, step 5, you can work on a step-by-step daily success strategies to get you unstuck and to get there. Because of course, we can all get in context where, this is what I'm going through right now. Oh, I wish. Oh, I am dreaming. Oh, one day when I'm done with this responsibility, when I go through this rough patch, when this transition is done, one day I will get to. But what you can do is say, okay, so what does that look like? What do I need to do to start getting there? Otherwise, your worst fear will come to pass. It will not go away because you bury your head in the sand. You're like, I hope this thing won't happen. But your worst case scenario, the worst thing that you fear will happen unless you actually take deliberate steps daily to live differently. So you're going to change the way you think. I didn't even know you could capture your thoughts. I didn't know that was a possibility, but I now realize you can. A thought comes in, you open your mouth. You cancel a thought with words, by the way. You open your mouth and you say, what? What's that about? I just remember this Arabic word for my phrase from my friend in Jordan, shuhada. Like, what's going on? Like, where did you come from? And you say that what you want. And so when thoughts come to me that I'm inadequate, or my life is stuck, or this and that is happening, I'll open my mouth and say, actually, on the contrary. Or sometimes, like when I would be like, God, this man, God, this husband, I would speak the contrary to that. I would say, my husband, let me tell you about my husband. My husband is an ambassador. My husband is a global advisor. And all those thoughts that I had, my own thoughts, those thoughts that I had against this man, they go. I silence them with my words. I could be washing dishes. I could be like, now I'm baking or whatever. I could be next to, I could be arguing with the man, and I'm like, Lord, you know, there was something went wrong up here, but here we are, Lord. My thoughts could be doing that. I would open my mouth and I would even say to him, I'm like, this is who you are. And I'm saying, even if I'm not feeling it. So you can do that. Cancel the negative thoughts that tell you, just call it quits right now. I think it was yesterday, I was speaking to the Holy Spirit, and I was just saying, God, even with you inside of me, I am telling you, you could get suicidal thoughts. People who know God and have God and I know they've taken their lives because these thoughts come to you that just disqualify, just completely take you down. And unless you open your mouth to say different, what you most fear, what you most think, and thinking over and over, worrying over is actually meditating. What you most meditate over is exactly what you say, because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. What you keep thinking about, dwelling on, what keeps festering inside, it will ultimately come out. Tell me the truth. Have you not found, let's say with family, or in close relationship, with friendships, one of you blurts out something, you're like, that was in there. What was that about? I didn't know you felt that way. I didn't know that was an issue. And even you, as you said, you're like, oh man, I didn't even know it was that big a deal. But now it's out. So the things that we allowed to fester, the worst case scenario that we allowed to fester, they will come out and bite us in the behind unless you open your mouth and you cancel it. Second thing is, you need to not only speak against what you don't want, you need to have a plan for what you do want. So what is your plan to get the spouse that you want? What is your plan to not being retrenched? Or should that come, what is your plan for life after retrenchment? I actually did a program, I don't know how many years ago, over 10 years ago, with this multinational that had to let go of 50 people. 500 people. And a lot of them had been there since independence in my country. So they'd been there for 40 years. And it was, a market rehabilitation program for them, because they would soon be let go of. But most people don't think of a plan B. So think about it. So you're saying, okay, I'm afraid that I'll get retrenched. What's the fear there? Is it that you don't have the skills? Is it that you feel like I'm too old and it's too late for me to do something different? Is it that you haven't been giving it your all and you just feel like, yep, when it's time for the job, I will definitely be on that? Because you can also change your performance. Call out what you are fearing by name and then come up with a plan to do something about it. If it's skills, get the skills. If it's workmanship, the standards of work, improve. If it's the fact that, okay, it's an age cut thing, okay, then consider, you're probably right now also in a place in your life where you want to do your own thing. Maybe you want to slow down. Maybe you want to have your own terms. Then consider what it is that you do want to do so that you're not stuck in a situation. Listen, I'm never going to let you, victimize me. Not that you want to, but I'm not going to get myself cornered in a situation where, oh, this job is gone. And so what am I going to do? Oh my goodness, my family or our bills. No. If I'm in a context, I'm in a context intentionally. If I'm going to get out of it, I'll get out of it intentionally. If I so much as sniff that something could be pulled from underneath me, I am so equipped. I live ready. And I suggest you do the same thing. I am so equipped for the next thing. I just next over a bunch of things in life. Why? Because I understand life will happen. So I create my world and live in it. And that gives me the flexibility. I factor in that other people and their influence. I will factor in, Annika, hi, it's been decades. Good to see you. I factor in the fact that, things may not always go as I'm looking at them going. But because then I'd already made the investment in who I am, in my skills, in my competencies, in my network, then there is nothing lost there, which is why I can say goodbye amicably. I can say goodbye and we're fine, and I move on. So you can also choose to live prepared if, like the lady who said retrenchment is an issue for her. Somebody else mentioned the things of the past repeating themselves. The past is in the past. Listen, I've had a very interesting past. Some people out here know. The past is it's done. Now, if you feel as if, one second, I need to get something because I'm doing a marble cake here, so I need to mix, I need to mix my batter for the chocolate. If you feel as if, I have so messed up, I made you leap out of bed, I'm so glad. If you feel as if I really don't know how things gonna pan out, I have a feeling, this is talking about you fearing that what happened in the past is gonna happen again. Well, ask yourself, are there still the same conditions? Are you still of the same mindset? Are you still repeating the same habits? Because of course they'll come. There's no need to fear. That's a no-brainer. If you're still doing the same things, you will get the same results. And so if you're fearing that somehow your past will catch up with you or something is going to go wrong, then do something about it. Change what you can. What you can't change, you can't change. But you can always supplement what is not happening right now. You can always replace it, rather. Replace what is not happening right now with what it is that you do want to see happen. And then feel that. I'm telling you, there is no way you can have two minds, two diverging mindsets, lives living in you. You have to feed the one or the other. And so make up your mind. What is the reality that I want? If I don't want what happened in the past, leave the past behind. But of course, it has a way of creeping back, even your own habits and your own things. Supplement it. This is what I tell people. Don't be so invested in fighting your weaknesses. You will lose. Whether you take this just from a scientific point of view, you have habits that you have developed in a lifetime. Most of you I speak to, youngest is late 20s. Most people in their 30s, 40s onwards, right? So you have developed habits your entire lifetime that would probably be different from what you now aspire to do. You will have a hard time fighting your mind today with a new habit, to tell it to stop. But what you can do, which will definitely get you to win, is to find something different to focus on, something different to actually do. And I mean apply. You will kill certain thoughts and certain behaviors by applying new ones. But even if we're talking about, from the spirit realm, let's say it is an attack. Let's say you are being spoken to and you are getting attacked to be defeated. You do not sit there and reason with, you're saying if it's demons or power, you don't sit there and reason with them. You just focus on the thing that you do want to do. So this is what I would recommend. If you have this scenario where this is the worst case that this would happen to me, whether it is I'm going to be retrenched or whether my business is going to go down or I've had a business that didn't go well before and so I can imagine this is going to go the same way. Well, the thing is, it would if you've done nothing different. If you haven't learned from before, if you haven't put in systems as you should have, if you don't have your accounting right, of course it will. So there's no even need to fear it's going to happen. But what you can do is call your fear. Call the worst case scenario by name. Ask yourself whether you can do something about it. If you think you can't, that's a lie. Find somebody who can help you get unstuck in your thinking so you can see a way out. If you think you can and you're like, it's a process though, go through the process. Not only will you see the value of the outcome that you ultimately get, but what you would have learned in the principles and the steps that you will apply to this issue right now, you can transfer that to a bunch of other areas in your life, not needing to keep going back to the expert, to keep paying somebody, including myself, to keep going back to, to get help from other people. Learn, build yourself up to have the resilience and the resourcefulness to be able to overcome the challenge. And then ask yourself, so what is it that I'm willing to do? How can I get there? Because I could have a great dream and aspiration, but I'm not doing anything that will actually get me there. You could have a plan, a whole nice, beautifully written and colorful plan that will never come to pass because there is nothing that you're doing today that is getting you there. And so what you need to do is ask yourself today, whether it is from what you think, replace it with the right words, but also literally what you do every single day to get you to the outcome you want. Not what you do every single day to fight what you don't want. What you do every single day to actually get you to the outcome you want. So you don't want to drink anymore. I'm just picking up something, and I know it's got nothing to do with career business, but listen, I don't want to drink. Fighting, drinking, maybe the times that you would go out, whatever you're going to do, something else is in that time. You just don't have time to sit there and drink, if that's your issue. If, for instance, you're always late, maybe make something in your phone. I'm always late. Okay, so you're going to rearrange your time. And if you say, I remember this gentleman saying, it's not me, my wife doesn't have the concept of keeping time. And it's affecting our business and whatever because they're doing business together. And I said, okay, so this is a conversation to have because this is now your brand. And as you, the face of the business, well, you're just not going to be seen to be reliable. So what needs to change in the family situation? They've got kids and maybe it's systems to put in place. Like I was talking just yesterday in a video, put the keys where they can be found so you're not looking for the keys. Wake up a little earlier. Maybe people wake up and then they start preparing meals. Maybe that could be done before. Whatever you need to do, build in a system that not just doesn't get you just fighting what you don't want, but actually reinforcing that which you do. And then do it over and over. That is how you're going to get to what you want. And that is how you're going to, be done away with your worst case scenario. So whatever is on your mind and you're thinking, what's the worst that could happen? You have a way. You are on the driver's seat. You can determine what's going to happen. And not the worst. You can think about what's the best that could happen. And start looking at what then can I do to start getting myself there. There is no point to sit there waiting. I know it's coming, it's inevitable, it's coming, because I haven't done anything about it, and I know it's going to catch up with me, it's coming. Of course it's coming. You're thinking that it's coming, you're saying that it's coming, and you've actually done nothing to get a different outcome. So yeah, of course it's coming. What you last did and set in motion is exactly what you will get. You want to get different results. Stop worrying about what you don't want. And quickly, the second that you think of the worst case scenario, when you think of the worst that could happen, is the second you start strategizing on how to get the best outcome that you want. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Let me get to this cake now. I want to say hi to everybody. Adding a good advice going into Monday tomorrow, and your hair is amazing. Thank you for the hair compliment. Oh, you are lovely. Liana, thank you for tuning in. Mary, Abigail, hey, Son, Juliana, Grace, Lehman, yes. And Fidelis, I think I hadn't mentioned you before. It's been wonderful sharing with you. So yeah, so that's what you do. Don't even worry about what is not happening. The only way you can influence what is not happening is what you don't want to happen. And not just in thoughts, not just in words, and not even in plans either. And you guys know I'm all about planning, right? In action, daily action. Every time it comes up, you take the action that you want in the opposite direction. And you're sorted. All right. Lovely being with you. Let me continue with my marble cake and spend time with my husband. Bye. Much love, you guys.